See, it would have been so cool if I had started recording just before you said that. But take two, technical difficulties. Welcome back to the 22 Panels podcast, where we explore and elevate the medium comics. Tonight, my guest is Clem Robins because I felt like it, because he's the sweetest man in comics, and I wanted to talk to him again. And I wrote him, and he said yes. So, hi, Clem. How are you?
Right.
You, you There was a story that you were gonna tell, and I forget what that one is. So now we'll just move on. Um, because there was the story that we decided not to tell, and then there was the story that we decided to tell, but it was like, but wait till we're recording. And then I babbled for too long. This is how this podcast works, Clem. We're very unprofessional, particularly at the end of the school week, at the end of the school year. Today was my last day of students until summer school. So for like 12 days, but it feels like it'll be longer.
Well,
Um,
there's a bookkeeper at DC named Paul Moore, and he
okay.
said he wrote something to me that I've never forgotten that really encompasses the whole of human wisdom. He said, if you don't put quality first, anything is possible.
Well, that sounds good to me. That sounds good. That includes quality or high quality, because that's part of anything. So I
Certainly.
like that.
I thought it was funnier than myself.
That's a great, it's a great line. I love it. I love it.
What do we want to talk about, Tad?
Oh God, I want to talk about anything you feel like talking about. I was gazing at this painting that you've been working on, which I like very much. I like well, I mean, it's just well crafted. So at some point, I want you to tell me about this painting and why. Well, no, let's start with it because I like this painting and uh, I yeah, you
Your
spent a long
victim's
time
going to
on
be
it.
able to see it.
What?
I mean,
No, I mean, I'll put it up somewhere, but otherwise, we'll tell people to Google "Return of the 70" from Clem Robbins. Um,
there you
Tell me
go.
about this painting.
I
And
am a
are there actually 70 there? I didn't count them yet.
no, no. I we had to make a decision about that. If we were going to fit 70 people in there, it would have to be an extreme long shot. And what I wanted to do was show the faces of all these people.
And that's what's capturing me is I'm liking the different faces.
People walking into the studio when I did this thing, they were the reaction I got over and over again is people are happy in a biblical picture. Usually they're melancholy or pious or something like that. This was fun. Jesus sent out 70 of his disciples to preach. And when they came back, they reported that they'd found themselves able to do everything they'd seen him do. They'd cast out spirits, they'd healed, they'd done miracles, all of that. And this is a picture about Jesus Christ not ministering, not standing against evil, not teaching, not preaching, but just listening and having the time of his life listening to these people. That's what it was about. So that's why we got that guy laughing his ass off
No,
behind
I
him.
love it. I love it. And I love that perspective because it is an aspect of the Bible and Christianity um often overlooked and minimized. The idea that you can be good and still enjoy life. You can
You
be good.
probably know this already. It's not an obscure piece of knowledge, but each of the four gospels has a different purpose.
Oh yeah.
Matthew teaches about Jesus Christ as the shepherd king of Israel. Mark is about Jesus Christ as the ultimate servant. John is about Jesus Christ as the Son of God. Luke, which is the only gospel that has this record,
Right.
is about Jesus Christ as a man with
Right.
human frailties, human needs, human vulnerabilities.
Isn't
And
Luke also the one where he has the most meals?
maybe, I don't know, I've never counted.
Well, I just there
But
there's a
this is a
pastor that
picture
I
of
enjoy
Jesus
listening
Christ
to.
enjoying the company of some
Yeah,
friends
exactly.
and being, instead of ministering to them, they're ministering to him. And you see a little thunderstorm in the background above the pottery in the lower right.
I
Jesus
did.
said,
Who
I
says that
beheld
we can't?
Satan as lightning fall from heaven.
Oh,
He
right.
had to come down and clean up the mess these guys had made of his kingdom by speaking the truth in love.
Right.
So I was commissioned to do this. I was paid enough so that I could spend 2 years on it.
Oh,
My
wow.
wife sewed all the costumes. We hired models.
Okay.
Uh, went all over on the thing. It was a lot of fun. They treated me very well, and it was unveiled last March. And uh, I'm working on another one now. So,
Very cool.
and incredibly, during the last 8 months of making this picture, lettering ground to an absolute halt, which normally would terrify me. But I was being paid very well to do this picture.
Right.
All I needed was some time, and I got it.
Okay.
So if in real life the picture is 10 feet by 4.5 feet, I never attempted anything that large. Uh, the scale is part of the whole fun of it. And the guy who built the frame used to work for the White House. He built a lot of the furniture you find in the White House. The guy's an absolute magician with wood, much better at what he does than I am at what I do. So the thing was just a Rolls Royce privilege. It was marvelous. That link, if you want to buy a copy of it, you can. They're giving it away for $18. So that was what I
Okay.
did to prove to myself I was actually a painter.
And you are. Um,
I
I
think so,
like
yeah.
I like the joy, and I happen to be a nephew of a retired Methodist minister, so I can even see it becoming a birthday or Christmas present sometime soon. Um,
Live it up.
but but as I'm flipping through stuff, I'm pretty certain that Luke is the gospel because it's the one that presents him as human. Luke is the gospel that's always been the one that appealed to me most because I mean obviously you take them as a whole, but because so often, particularly with people who have more performative religion than deep faith, they get so caught up in the absolutes. Um, Luke is the gospel where Jesus spends a lot of time with people that it's surprising that Jesus would spend time with. You know, he has meals with tax collectors and with prostitutes and um,
And loves it.
exactly,
Enjoys their
exactly,
company.
exactly. And that's why there's a Methodist minister named Adam Hamilton, works out of a church in Kansas City. He's wrote a number of books, and he did a sermon series on Luke. That part of it was he focused on it being the gospel that he did the most meals, because who you sit down with actually says a lot about who you are as a person. You know, we don't sit down with people that like we hate. You know, if we're willing to sit down with you, it's because we find something worth spending time with you. You know, I'm not going to have a podcast with somebody. I'll have podcasts with people I disagree with. I'll have podcasts with people whose work I only kind of like, but I'm not going to like have a podcast or certainly not going to have two with somebody that like I don't enjoy talking with. You know,
What are you doing with
um,
this?
I'm enjoying talking with you.
Are you?
I
It's
am.
very interesting. You're talking about meals. As long as you're on the subject, you know, always cut this
Yeah.
out. In
Nah.
their culture, in the Eastern culture of the Bible, you will be hospitable to everybody. You will give them the run of your house. The one thing you will not do is eat.
Right.
Food was preserved with salt. If I ate a meal with salt in it with you, that would be the equivalent of taking a salt covenant. That
Right.
is serious shit to these people.
Yeah.
Uh, all these meals, take a look at it. If he ate with these people, it meant he was committed to them. He believed in them and he loved them.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah. I mean, the second I you sent me the link and I went, oh wait, it's from Luke. Isn't I pretty certain Luke is? And went looking because I'm like, want to make certain that I'm somewhat prepared. If you talked to me 30 years ago when I grew up around, I'm going to say it as politely as I can. I grew up in a very affluent right-wing town with a very famous Christian college with a lot of people who liked to use the Bible as a club more than an olive branch. So I had most of the Bible memorized in high school as like a defense mechanism.
Really?
Um, yeah, I don't have nearly the recall now, but when I'd have people spouting this or that, and I say, yeah, but what about this? Tell me how, you're telling me that so and so said this, but Jesus said this. So who are we listening to?
I'd always
Just
listen to you, Tad.
well, thank you. But just because I mean, yeah, it was an interesting upbringing. We don't have to get too deep into that. I have an interesting relationship with Christianity. I consider myself a Christian, and I also value the words of Gandhi, who, in talking about how Jesus was one of his preferred teachers, also said, "I could have been a Christian if not for the Christians I've known."
I'll give you
Um,
that. Known people like that.
and that's one of the
Let's talk
things
about
that,
the Jews I've known. Want to talk about
yeah.
Marvel in the 1970s?
Sure, let's talk about Marvel in the 1970s. Marvel in the 1970s is an interesting time. And I haven't talked to enough, but I've talked to Ann Nesenti. Ann Nesenti was there in the 70s.
She sure as heck was. I hear
Um,
she's just as cute now as she was
oh,
40
she's
years ago.
fantastic. I love Annie.
Very good writer, very lovely
Oh,
woman. Uh,
fantastic writer. And not just comics. She's done travel writing that's fantastic. Her website's got is almost as much stuff as yours in terms of going all over the place with cool
I haven't
stuff.
seen her in 40 years, but people tell me she looks now just like she did then, which
Pretty
is
much. Pretty much. She's aged very gracefully.
so in the 70s, if you wanted to be a letterer, the 70s, the late 70s or the mid 70s were a marvelous time to break in. They had a serious letterer shortage. And a lot of people who shouldn't have gotten work, myself included, got it.
Oh, come on. You're a
No,
fantastic
oh,
letterer.
my early stuff sucked eggs. I can't stand looking at anything I've
I
done.
think you made me look at some of it last time, so I'm not going to argue too much on that.
The first
But it's
DC book
better
I
than
ever did,
some.
the first DC book I ever did uh, that got published was a Legion of Superheroes story. I won't tell you the name of the story because then you could look it up and see how awful I was. But the name of the story was "The Plague That Would Not Die." My
Now,
lord, the
now, see,
things in
what
that.
you don't know is I am friends with literally the biggest Legion of Superhero fan in the world. So if anybody knows that story, it's going to be Johnny.
It was. I did. Oh my god! I lettered an issue of Super Friends that Ramona Fraden drew.
Ah,
I'm glad that before she died, I got to apologize to her for it. I did a Superman story that Kurt Swan drew. Why did that let me near this stuff? I did a Flash story or a team up story that Garcia Lopez drew. I should not have been allowed within a light year of that guy. He was so good. And I just,
really,
anyway,
really quick.
but,
What was the name of the Legion story again?
the
What are
Legion
what the
story was The Plague That Would Not Die. And if you
okay.
want to see the single worst title credits block in the history of comics, you're looking at it right now. I hope you like what you see.
Well, I'm not looking at it yet. I'm asking Johnny if he knows it.
Mostly at DC, I was given stuff that Jerry Conway wrote,
Okay.
and it was probably a good idea. It was not fun to work on. He was doing too many books.
Okay.
He was learning stuff, and he was very, very copy heavy. He was DC's answer to Roy Thomas.
Well, see,
Uh,
you just got your answer there on how it was easy to get lettering jobs in that era. It was before the age of digital lettering,
oh, it was
and
long before the age
and,
of digital
and
lettering.
you and you had lots of writers who used way too many words.
So this is when Tom Warzakowski started out,
Okay.
where Todd Klein started out, where I started out, where
I mean,
Janet
it's
Chang.
a good way to get your 10,000 hours. I mean,
Yeah,
they say 10,000 hours of anything will make you a pro.
that's
It's a
what
really
that's
good
what
way to get your
Gladwell said.
10,000 hours.
I didn't like Todd Klein's early lettering. I liked him. He was on
Mhm.
staff at DC, the production artist. Uh, I didn't like his lettering. Of course, looking back, I don't like mine either. But Todd's eyes were wide open. He was looking at everything, and he was good friends with Jack Adler, with Saul Harrison. He saw what needed to be done, and he learned. And I remember blundering into a Teen Titans issue he lettered in, I think, 1983 or 84. I was like, this guy's better than Gaspar. He figured out what he needed to know. And the same thing with Tom Warzakowski. All those years lettering X-Men for Chris Claremont, with literally four times the copy on each page that's normally there on a. He made
Well,
it look beautiful.
I was about to say, at least Claremont was generally a guy who most of the words made sense and were good. I actually generally and I'm afraid to go look. It is this is one of my unpopular takes, and I've never even had this take before, but I guarantee it'll be an unpopular take. Of all the writers that I can think of, the one that I would have most hated to letter for is Stan Lee.
Okay.
Way too many words, trying to be way too hip and failing miserably. You were writing about that with Bob Haney in Teen Titans in the essay that I was reading earlier, and I was
For
reading
my
the
essay,
copy there, and I saw that, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not nearly as bad as Stan. Which is probably why they told him to do it, because Stan got away with being just absolutely terrible in terms of trying to be hip. Um, yeah. Stan did a lot of great things for comics. I will
he
not ever.
reinvented an art
He
form, and there
he
are very
did.
few human beings who can.
As as a cheerleader for comics, as a editor, as a publisher, as everything except a dialogue guy and possibly a writer in general, depending on how much you believe about the, hey, Jack, let's do a Doctor Doom one this time, and then all the writing coming when Jack was done. Um, I'm uncomfortable calling him a good writer. He's a lot of great things. I'm uncomfortable calling him a good writer.
He got it done. My mother and
He
my
did.
father met each other after World War II. My father was designing titles for David O. Selznick, and my mother was in his secretarial pool.
Right.
They met, they fell in love, they got married. They both worship David O. Selznick. Are you familiar with him?
I am.
Okay, so
He
my father
produced
told me
both
that,
Gone with the Wind
yes,
and Wizard of Oz in the
uh,
same year.
I don't think he was Wizard of Oz. Maybe
I
he
think he
was,
was.
but he did Hitchcock. He did Rebecca. He
Oh
did.
yeah. No, I mean
My
he was
father
the
told me
uber
that
producer of the era.
Selznick was so into the process. He wasn't a director. He wasn't even a producer. He
Nope.
was just David O. Selznick. But he was aware of every inch of film that had been shot. And if they needed a pickup shot, he knew where it was and he could find it. And he wrote these
Yeah.
memos that were legendary. Stan was like David O. Selznick. Tell
Okay.
you somebody else who's like David O. Selznick, I'll get in trouble for this and I don't care. Scott Alley,
I think he said that
maybe the
last time.
best editor I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
He got in a lot of trouble. I don't care. He is freaking brilliant. He is the David O. Selznick of comics in our day and time. Understood everything about it. Knew how to shepherd good artists and good writers. You wouldn't have Hellboy would not be the institution it is now without Scott. Uh,
I believe that.
yeah, I've gotten to work with a lot of very, very
There
wonderful people.
there are such a amazing number of, oh no, it's see, I think what I always get, Victor Fleming did way too many things in 1939. So yeah, okay. It was Fleming that directed both Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind, not Selznick that did.
Yeah.
I knew there was a connection between the two and that it was way up there. I had to look it up. It's my geek
Being a
mind.
director back then, it wasn't like being a director now or in the
No,
60s.
no.
You were basically a flunky.
It was shoot, shoot, shoot. Move on to the next film. That
But
being
Marvel
said,
was
there were still ones that did better than others.
but Marvel was a lot of fun in the late 70s. And if you were on staff there or if you were a freelancer, that meant you can go right into the place. That doesn't happen now. I brought my friends to Marvel. It was fun. Marvel was a
Yeah.
fun place.
That's what I mean, that was what was
I
it
could have
Ann
brought my
talked
friends to
about. That's
DC,
what
but nobody wanted to go there.
uh I mean eventually, but yeah, no, Marvel definitely had the reputation for way more fun at the time.
The bullpen, there were a bunch of us, and there was a Japanese guy who was the head of the production department. His name was
Okay.
Mori Kuramoto. He's spent his formative years in an internment camp during World War II.
Okay.
There was a wonderful Jewish guy named Danny Crespi, who was like a father to all of us, and he had all these plants all over the place. His daughter, I think, still works at Marvel. I met her and I said, "You don't know me, but I'm your brother because your dad was like a father to me." And she said,
Okay.
"You're not the only one who said that to me."
I
You
mean
had
that's
Michael Higgins there. You had Ron Zalmi. You had all these wonderful people. It was a great place to be. It was a wonderful place to work. I loved it.
so what was I mean, because that was still when the bullpen was actually a bullpen. People went into work together. So what give me I don't even know how to phrase this question. Talk both about the pros and cons of having an office of comics creators versus the now where everybody just sends things digitally and does their part and sometimes meets each other long after they've done the work.
It was not an
Okay.
office of comic creators. It wasn't.
Okay.
You'd
So the
see the pencilers might or inkers might walk in every once in a while. But
okay.
mostly, when you're talking about the bullpen, you're talking about production artists.
Okay.
Uh, so it was not a situation like what was the company in the '90s? The one in Florida. Uh, what
I
the hell?
mean,
Where the thing was, everybody would work together in an office. What was that?
was that no Malibu was out in California.
No,
I feel
Malibu.
like right, I feel like one of the image offshoots was down in Florida, but I don't remember which
Barbara
one.
Kiesel was part of it. Barbara and
Oh,
Kiesel.
was that oh, I know what you're talking about now.
They started this comic company.
CrossGen. CrossGen.
Maybe that was it. I don't think so. Whatever it was, they were in Florida, and if you wanted to work for them, you had to move to
You had
Florida.
to move there.
Uh,
Okay.
I don't know how long it lasted. They wanted to have the same kind of family atmosphere that supposedly existed at Marvel in the early days. I don't know. I got my first work at Marvel in '77 or '78. DC in '77. They were all of them were in New York City at the time, and so was I.
Right.
Went to art school. It was a good place to be.
Which art school did you go to?
The Art Students League of New York
Okay.
on West 57th Street.
Uh, I don't I don't know my New York well enough yet. I have only recently even visited for the first time, and I've now gotten over the fact that they have both the Yankees and the Mets, two of the three baseball teams that I will not root for under any circumstances.
Why? What you got to stick up your ass about the Yankees for?
I'm a Red Sox fan.
When 9/11 happened, Paul Levitz wanted to do a tribute book to the firemen and the
Right?
people. So we did, so he put out feelers and said, if you want to contribute to this, you won't get paid. Do you want to do it? And I called him up and I said, yeah, hell yes, I want to do it. Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo did a wonderful story about two guys in a bar from New York and no, from Boston.
Right.
And Brian had to explain to Eduardo that if you're living in Boston, you hate the Yankees, you hate
Yeah.
New
Yeah. Yeah.
Yorkers. And since Eduardo didn't speak any English, I don't know if this was wasted on him or what, but there's a wonderful story about these two guys, and this guy is saying, I'm voting for the Yankees because New York has suffered such a terrible loss." And the guy says to him, "If you do that, then the terrorists have won."
That feels right to me.
It was wonderful. It was Azarello and
And that
Rizzo and
definitely
me.
feels like I mean, Azarello and I talk baseball anytime we bump into each other. So that definitely feels like I feel like I've read that story, but it's been a while. And but that definitely feels like how Azarello would handle that.
And ends up with the guy from Boston saying, "Go Red Sox." It's just
Yeah.
sweet, wonderful.
I mean I was one of the ones where 2001 is the one year that the Yankees could have won a World Series that I wouldn't have begrudged it to them. But when my former Cub hero Mark Grace knocked off the rally in the ninth inning of Game 7 in Arizona, I got very happy. When my other former Cub Luis Gonzalez knocked in the winning run, I went, well, they got to the World Series. Only two teams do that. They won last year.
Now, my sister, her name is Madeline Robins, and
Okay.
she's a very successful writer of detective fiction and Regency romances and stuff. Uh, in 2000, she wrote a book called The Stone War, in which a great spiritual catastrophe happens to Manhattan, and it has a sequence, very hauntingly written, of thousands of New Yorkers in a daze walking northward along 6th Avenue to escape from the tragedy.
Uh,
She wrote this in 2000. 2001, 9/11 happens, and the same damn thing happens. And
I
the New York Times puts the Stone War on their 10 most notable list. Very well deserved.
right.
Uh,
There were a number of odd coincidences like that because I worked at Best Buy at the time. And literally the night before, I'd put up the graphic for a new album coming out that had featured like a ring of fire in the shape of an apple with the two towers in the middle of it as the album cover. I've never seen an album recalled faster than that one. And like the threats for selling a copy were like legit. It's like if any of these get out, they didn't even want them sent back. They're like, destroy them, sign affidavits to say that they've been destroyed.
Now, how old were you in 1978?
-2.
Okay. Well, you're probably aware that Jonestown happened
Yeah.
in 1978. All these idiots drank Kool-Aid and all
Yep.
that. I was on staff at Marvel at the time, and Mark Gruenwald had written a story that was very similar to that. And it came out at just the same time. So naturally, they played up the cult angle. Uh, I sat down with Mark and I asked him, "Do you have premonitions about this or what?" He said, "No, it's just like any other story to me.
Yeah,
Things just happen."
they do. I mean, the thing is that I mean, though I have heard that certain particularly people who had already done outrageous like political thriller type stuff are having trouble right now because too much of what's going on in the real world is stuff that if they turned in, their editors would laugh at them for what do you mean? Nobody will believe this. But in general, people are way more creative than we ever give them credit for. So there's so little that can happen in the world that somebody couldn't have imagined first.
My
Um,
sister's a very brilliant woman.
I believe it. You talked about her last time too, because
Did I?
I
Oh,
I well
I
I went looking up this book and noticed that I'd already bookmarked her stuff on Amazon. I haven't gotten to any of it yet because I read mostly comics and also have a backlog of other stuff. But I'll get to it faster now because she came up again.
interview her. She's much more interesting than I am.
Get somebody to draw a comic of one of her books, and absolutely.
She used to be. She was an editor at Acclaim for a year and a half.
Oh, well, see that might work.
And
I
she wouldn't give me any work because she was contractually obligated to give it all to Richard Starkings and Comicraft.
okay, okay.
Although their company did the Classics Illustrated imprint for 3 years, and had me paint covers of it. So I
Oh,
had
very
fun with
cool.
that.
I
I
love
think
Classics Illustrated.
about 20 issues into Preacher, when an issue ends with Tulip getting shot, that
I remember that.
the issue comes out, my phone rings. It's Madeline. She's there with all the other editors at Acclaim. They're saying, "Don't tell me this can't be true. Have they really killed off Tulip?" And I couldn't tell her what happened. I just said, "It's don't worry about it."
Read next month. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah, did I tell you about the last issue of Preacher?
No, tell me a story about the last
I
issue.
don't do conventions.
Right. Well,
Most,
except the one that you got Gasper to go to.
yeah, that one. Uh, most people don't go to conventions because they don't like being mobbed by their fans. I don't go to conventions because I have no fans.
You
Except,
have a fan.
yeah, you're it, but that's it.
I like letterers in general.
You're the only one though. So,
Well, that just means I cornered the market on letterers for podcast guests.
but when they did Wizard Con in 2000, it was 2 weeks before the last issue of Preacher was going to be released. And suddenly I became popular because these people knew that if anybody knew the ending of Preacher, it would be
It
me.
would be you.
So suddenly I became popular. The ending of Preacher was so secret that in those days before scanning and stuff, Garth's script was printed onto red paper
Oh, wow. I
so that
love
it
it.
could not be copied in a Xerox machine. It was not like the Spider-Man finds out he's really been something, which I
Right.
lettered, by the way, and which got disseminated, and the surprise was ruined. This thing was a pie in the face. What am I telling you about this? Anyway, the Wizard Con in
You
2000.
became popular because you knew.
I became popular for about a day, and
Right.
then I became a non-entity. You were looking at the biggest has-been in the history of comics. But we did go out to
I'm
we
certain I could find a bigger has-been.
just try. But we
I'll
did,
I'll
but I
call
never
up
met these
Dennis
people.
Kitchen and I'll say, Dennis, who's the biggest has-been in comics? He'll come up with a better name than you.
No, I'll be on the list of never was. But we
No, I mean, Dennis Kitchen, half of the people he's published are on the list and never was. He'll be the first one to tell you that's why they're underground.
but we went out for drinks. It was I
Right.
never met Garth. I never met what's his name? Druitt.
Steve Dillon.
Steve Dillon, bless his heart. I never met Patricia, never met any of them. So we went out for drinks. It was wonderful. Garth probably drank a little bit too much.
That
Uh,
is his reputation.
so we were talking, and I said to him, of all the people in Preacher, the only one I can really identify with is Cassidy. He said, Garth was a massively penetrating listener. Garth leaned over like I'm leaning over to you. He looked me in the eye like I'm looking at you. And he said, "You identified With Cassidy? I thought I did. Maybe not. Yeah, I identified with Cassidy. He was a fool. He was a jackass. Like, of course I identified with Cassidy.
Do you also drink blood?
No, that's
Okay.
where the similarity ends.
That's where the similarity ends.
And
Okay.
I don't beat up women either.
Okay. Just wanted to make certain, because I
Tell
mean,
my wife, you'd realize there's no way in hell I could beat her up.
well, I mean, it's a running joke in my house that I get beat up accidentally on a regular basis because my
Fall
wife doesn't know
downstairs.
her
Yeah.
own strength.
So
She
where are we
she
going with this
kicks
thing?
me.
We want to have
I
an
have no
interview.
idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm enjoying your free form storytelling. Um, Tell me about another. I mean, you've told me about 100 Bullets. You've told me about Preacher. Tell me about a more obscure experience that you liked, a book that you did that not as many people know about, but you really enjoyed the ride.
Do you know Ben Dunn? Have you
I
ever
don't.
interviewed? He's Chinese, I believe, but he did, in what is, in my opinion, the best manga book ever. It was for Malibu. It was called Ninja High School. It was wonderful. This was in the late 80s. I believe Marvel picked it up in the early 90s, but it was just sweet. It was fun, and there were hardly any words in it, so I could do all kinds of fun things with it. It was about this kid named Jeremy Feeple, I believe, moved to Tokyo, and he has a dog named Dog Supreme, and there's a Japanese girl who's in love with him. Her name is Ichi, and it was just sweet. And there would be long, pointless fight scenes every few pages, where people usually have a hammer about the size of an elephant, which they'd use to club their enemies. And it was just ridiculously pointless, and it was so wonderful, and I loved every minute. I loved it so much. I built out of ordinary tools you find in wood. I built a Ninja High School hammer, and I sent it to Ben.
Oh, that's
And
great.
he wrote back and said, "Can we make mass produce these things so we can make some money off of it?" I loved that. I loved that. I loved what's his name? Best writer of all time. He's my buddy. I can't remember his name. Nexus. Steve Root.
Steve Rude
Steve Root drew it. I can tell you
and
stories about him. So could everybody else.
Nexus is my boss's favorite comic series.
It's a wonderful comic. The only thing wrong with Nexus,
Uh,
I only got
Mike Barron.
huh?
Mike Barron.
Yes, Mike Barron, he's a freaking genius. He writes stories now. He's a legitimate writer now. I love that. He did a
Oh,
story.
don't you go telling me comic writers aren't legitimate writers. I'll
He
fight you, man. No, I won't, because I'm too nice. I'm a pacifist. But I'll be very disappointed in you. Comic writers are legitimate writers. Prose
some are
writers are
not,
too.
but Mike totally is. A lot of
Yeah.
them. Gil Kane.
Gil Kane does some good stuff.
You ever talk to Gil?
I
No,
haven't.
you're too young. He died
I
in
am.
2000. He
Yeah,
was
no, we've only been doing this for like 3 years, and before I started sending emails, I didn't think I was cool enough to talk to comic creators.
Have you talked to
That
Stephen Grant?
I haven't talked to Stephen Grant yet. He's kind of on my list.
Yeah, put him on your list. Put him on the
Yeah.
top. I loved Stephen was brilliant, and
I think he's even done something recently that like I could use as an excuse to actually talk to somebody.
do it. Stephen wrote a book. What was it called? Edge. He did it for Malibu or for Eternity, which Gil agreed to draw. And Stephen told me that he could put me on as a letterer. And
Okay.
Gil was my hero as a kid. Green Lantern, Adam, a guy that just made anatomy and figure drawing cool for comics. Just so much better than, I won't name names, but so much better than Jack Kirby. holy smoke, he's better than Jack Kirby. I despise Jack Kirby.
See, that's another one of my my unpopular. Another one of my unpopular opinions. I think that Jack Kirby at his best was fantastic, and Kirby did very good layouts, but Jack Kirby's speed meant that a lot of his art was sloppy.
Sloppy was sacrilegious. Ever see him trying to draw a hand? I'm not talking
Well,
about the 50s. I'm talking about the 70s. He drew like a freaking child. I hated his stuff. Although I did letter the Jack Kirby Centennial thing for DC. What was it called? Commandy Challenge, I think it was called.
okay.
And I
Commandy
loved it.
Challenge was fantastic.
And I loved seeing what all these people who I idolized thought about this guy. But he
Yeah,
couldn't draw his in the 70s. He
yeah.
couldn't draw. He just, you look at some of the stuff he did for
I did hear a great story recently about, and I think it was even on our air, so I don't think I'm talking out of turn here, but I still won't say names, so people have to go back and listen. A another comic publisher was at one of the early cons, and his wife was like out on a patio or something, and got to talking with another woman, and they it got to some point where they were introducing each other, and the woman's like, um I'm so and so Kirby. And, oh, okay. Jack Kirby's wife. Uh-huh.
Rock.
Is he a comic book person? Jack King Kirby? Yeah, because the wife of the publisher, she was involved in the business end of his publishing, but she wasn't a comic book person. She had no idea who Jack Kirby was. Which, I mean, that goes along with a story that Tom King will tell is, he goes to a con and he's famous. He was once at the park walking his dog and somebody recognized him and he was like, "Can I take you home with me so my mother-in-law believes I'm famous?"
I know Jack went to a Paul McCartney concert
Yeah.
in LA in the late 70s. And McCartney knew he was there and was gracious enough to call him out and tell everybody this is Jack Kirby. This is the greatest comic book artist of all time. I thought that was very classy on McCartney's part. Uh, I wish Kirby had not walked away from the drawing of the human body.
Yeah.
I can't stand his women with the comedy boobs. I can't stand the hands he draws.
I also
Better.
wish he hadn't gotten full of himself because I feel like and I think it comes from he felt like, and I don't know that I agree that Stan was doing it intentionally, but I think he felt like Stan took too much credit when really Stan was just the bigger showman and didn't always bend over backwards to say, "Hey, I'm not doing all of this." Um, but like one of the things that always strikes me is when he came back to Marvel and Black Panther had finally become like a real book. It had the first black artist on it in is it Billy
Not Trevor Von Eden.
uh I'm certain I'll actually I know how to find out. Marvels. Fantastic book. Goes through the entire Marvel universe.
It's
Treats
not
it as
Trevor
one
Von
big
Eden.
story. I don't think so.
I thought Trevor was the first black artist to hit the big time.
Uh well, I don't think Black Panther was considered big time yet.
Anything Marvel is big time. Anything.
Okay. And what I know is it was the first black artist on Black Panther.
Okay.
Um, what there we go. What kings do. So it was Billy Graham, not the other Billy Graham, the Billy Graham comic book artist.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he was doing stuff with Don McGregor, who
I've heard of
who was the first person to actually, try to do some research to like, and he wasn't perfect, but he tried to have like actual African lore for African lore, that sort of thing. And then Kirby came in and like threw everything out and had like the frogs of Solomon and turned it into a sci-fi. I mean, the first issue of Kirby is one of the worst comics I have ever read. And it was just as Black Panther was hitting its stride. So the result was once Kirby stopped doing Black Panther became like a D-list character until the late 90s.
him.
That's the thing that I get most angry at
I never
at
met
Kirby.
Jack. I had no
Yeah.
occasion to meet him. He had his own letterers. He had his own colorists. He had his
Yeah.
own peers.
He
I don't understand why he let Vinnie Coletta do his stuff. If anybody could make Jack look even worse than he was, it was Vinnie Coletta.
don't
You
even
know,
know if
Gil,
I know.
you know what Gil Kane called Vinnie?
What did he call him?
The anchor without a conscience.
I mean, mostly when we're talking about that era, the way I look at it is if I have no idea who they are, they're somebody who didn't do their job very well. Because I haven't read enough from, well, I go back and forth on whether I haven't read enough from the 60s and 70s because I've read enough from the 60s and 70s to know a lot of the stuff that I've read from the 60s and 70s just isn't that good. Um, but I have read enough that I know most of the names of people that people will turn and say, I was influenced by this, I was influenced by that. And if I don't know your name, there's a good chance that I'll go look at your work and go, okay, I see why you were employed. But I also see, but yeah, no, there were also some great inkers in that era. Um, one of the things I did like about Marvel in that era is they seemed to keep the older guys around as inkers as they slowed down as pencilers. So like Al Williamson stuck around probably way longer than he would have if he'd still been penciling everything. And frankly, I think Al Williams, I think John Romita Jr. got to become the artist that he is because for like his first 10 years, his inkers were either his dad or Al Williamson, so they took his art and made it better.
I remember Bill Mantlo walking into the offices at Marvel, and he saw Romger, we called him, John Romita Jr.
Right.
And Mantlo was a prick, but he came up to Romger, and there were tears in his eyes. He thanked him for the job he'd done in his book. I'm not sure what that was, whatever it was. He loved it. He was so grateful that he drew it that well. It was touching, really. You didn't see scenes like that much. I mean, when Gil came and walk into the office, we all worshipped him, but you had to watch him because he loved to steal original artwork. So you had to watch him very closely because he knew where all the files were, where the stuff was, and he'd walk out with it. But Gil was wonderful. When I worked with him on that Stephen Grant book, that was the great experience of my life to actually work with Gil Kane. Gil, if he loved you or hated you, he'd know immediately. If he hated you, he'd make it clear. If he loved you, he'd call you Sonny or my boy. And for some inexplicable reason, he called me Sonny, my boy. And he loved me. He loved talking. And there was a book coming out that year of interviews with him. And he said, Sonny, can you paint my portrait for it? And I did. And I was nerve-wracking because he was painting a portrait of basically God. And I sent it to him.
Right.
God called me on the phone. He said, Sonny, this is beautiful. Can I keep this? Can I please keep this? And he sent me a page of third-rate two-gun kid art that he'd done. But my encounter with God. Can I?
Very cool. It was Contest of Champions is what Matt Lowe and Ramita did together, at least most famously.
He was wonderful. He's a very outspoken guy. I didn't agree with him politically. I didn't agree with him about a lot of things. I didn't agree with him because he worshipped Jack Kirby.
Right.
He lived his life hating, what's his name? The great genius. Oh God, what's happened to me? Thank you.
Eisner.
Begins with an A. Wonderful guy, just brilliant. I'm killing myself here. Anyway,
I mean, Neil Adams,
no,
Arthur
no, no.
Adams.
Oh, no,
older
no.
than that.
What was his name? But Gil hated him, and was embarrassed that he was allowed to breathe the same air as him because he was so much of a better artist than Gil was. I'll remember as soon as we hang up the phone here.
Yeah, of course.
Gil was very left wing. I'm kind of middle of the road. Gil was very left wing. He hated anybody who was to the right of Joseph Stalin. But
see, I would argue that Stalin wasn't very left. He got put as left, and he used left to accomplish his agenda, but he was about as
he's a monster.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Most of these guys. Well, why can't I remember the name of this guy? He drew for Creepy. He was wonderful. He did the great crit on Steve Rude that he never should have made public. Only Steve Rude had the privilege to see that, but he said that. What the hell was his name? What's happening to me? Am I?
Well, remembering Creepy gives me room to go.
Did marvelous wash drawings. He did the cartoons for Space Angel. This freaking genius. He's one of the greatest illustrators comics ever had. What the hell is his name?
Okay, Space Angels. Alex Toth.
That's who it is. Yeah, he hated Alex Toth. He just, I think he woke up in the morning cursing Alex Toth's name, and
That's almost as another. I always love it.
Alex Toth was 5 times the draftsman Gil would ever be.
Alex Toth is in like the top 10 or 20 visual storytellers that have ever lived.
Marvelous, just master of chiaroscuro, master of wash drawing.
Right.
Marvelous. Gil hated him. He was
I had somebody say I had somebody who has a similar reaction to Will Eisner, though he was kind enough to say that he was pretty certain that Eisner hated him back. So
I never knew Eisner. I never knew Toth. I never knew Nick Cardy. Yeah. I knew Gil. And if Gil would call you Sonny Boy, that meant anytime you wanted to talk to Gil, you just had to call him up. You had to find some excuse to end the call because otherwise we'd go on all day. But Gil,
I don't know anything like that. I'm not known at all for just babbling about anything and everything with people.
I talked to Gil about a panel he drew in a 1966 issue of Green Lantern, where a pirate has sent a bunch of green petals to kill Green Lantern. You know, his ring is powerless against green.
It's yellow. I thought it was yellow that it was
Yellow,
powerless
yellow,
against.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
One of
So
my
GL
favorite.
is over the ocean, and he pulls up an ancient Spanish galleon with his ring, and that stops the yellow petals. And it's beautifully drawn. I'd never seen anything like it. I was 9 years old. So I called him up and I said, "How the hell did you draw this? It's so wonderful. It's so beautifully drawn." He goes, "Yeah, sonny boy, it was, and I'm glad I had Sid Green to do that. He wasn't an inker, he was a renderer. He made it just perfect. Uh, he knew about all this stuff. When Carol Ferris dumped Hal, you remember that? Well, it was before you were born,
And I never got big enough into Green
but it was
Lantern to know my.
1966.
Yeah.
Carol Ferris, Hal was in love with him, and uh, she says, "I'm sorry, I know you liked me, but I fallen in love with this other guy." And Hal says, "I wish you the best of luck." And the next panel, he's driving away, and you see a look on Hal's face. He wishes he could destroy all of mankind. He's so full of venom. I got to talk to Gil and say, when you drew that, you taught me about the love between a man and a woman and how it can turn into hatred on the drop of a dime. And he thanked me for it. That's exactly what he was doing. Of course, he's on his way past his second marriage or fifth marriage or whatever it was. But Gil was wonderful. I loved him. Yeah, he was a kleptomaniac, but I loved him.
Okay. I am looking at your Legion book now. I dug it
Oh
up
no!
and
Don't do this to me.
I'm laughing because somehow it's like the one Jerry Conway, or I guess there's one other Jerry Conway book in the middle of a Paul Levitz run. It's like the 5 issues before and 3 of the 5 after are all Paul Levitz, and 232 and 234 are Jerry Conway. So
So who wrote The Plague That Wouldn't Die? Was that Jerry Conway?
the disease that wouldn't die, that's Jerry Conway
Okay.
with you on letters. I don't think this is terrible.
No, it's ghastly. It's horrific. It's satanic. I'll tell you what, though. I was in Ohio at a musical festival at the time when I knew it was going to come out, and there was a drugstore about 50 feet away. I haunted that damn drugstore. I was going to see the first DC book with my
That you
work,
did.
and I bought it and showed it to all my friends.
Of course. I we have started doing audio presentations of an indie book called the Santos Sisters, which is just fun. It's like kind of a modern day Archie with a couple of Hispanic girls as the main characters and a more of a superhero element to it, and they just have fun. They're clearly influenced by mostly old 60s and 70s comics when you talk to them, that sort of thing. But they're doing anthology comic, and they called me up to write an essay for it. And not only did I say yes, I guarantee I will be buying multiple copies. The first time you get to see your name in something, it's a big
Yes, well,
deal. It's a big
I wrote a
deal.
book on figure drawing. It came out in
You
2003.
know, I saw that on Amazon the other day.
You can buy copies if you want. It's been out of print since 2007, but just do me a favor if you buy it. Don't read the chapter on composition.
Don't read the chapter on composition.
They told me they wanted a chapter on composition, so I wrote one. I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I hate that.
Um, I mean, if I bought it, it would likely be for my wife because she's the art teacher and the artist among us. But I will tell her that.
It's
Ignore the
okay. I mean,
composition.
when North Light calls you and says they want you to write a book for them, what are you going to do? Say I'm too busy? Of course, I wrote a book for them.
You know, I mean, I think if somebody asked me to write a book, and like I would have to say yes as well. I don't know what I'd write about. I don't know what people would ask me to write, but I think I'd find an excuse.
There was a guy on the radio at the time. His name was Bruce Williams. He'd give advice about business.
Okay.
I called him up and I got through on the radio and I said, like, Northlight Books is inviting me to write this book. Here's the contract. And I told them that they were going to pay me and stuff. And said, what do you think? And Williams said, I wouldn't sign that contract in a million years. I signed the damn contracts and I wrote the book. Glad.
I mean, it all,
It's been translated into 5 languages. What the hell?
yeah, I mean, it's one of those balancing act things that, yeah, lots of times, particularly if you haven't done a lot of specific work in that field, the contract that you're going to be offered is going to be very much in the publisher's favor. On the flip side, you get to go into the bookstore or the library or whatever and say, that's my book.
I've done that. I did that 2 weeks ago, in fact. I had
Exactly.
a copy of it.
Um,
And my
I
poor
mean,
sister has given her life to writing. I
is
made
there,
more money off that book than she has of any book she's ever written.
uh, I mean, is there a bigger writer in the world than Neil Gaiman? And he still stops in like airport bookstores and train stop bookstores and whatnot and signs his own books. He does.
He's a
You
very
know,
nice guy.
oh, I've heard only wonderful things. Haven't gotten to talk to him yet, though. I did tongue in cheek ask on Blue Sky when he was responding to something that I put up whether or not he was doing comics podcasts and how I would get in touch with him. And he said, really busy right now. Get back to me in 2025. So I have a feeling that I will post something at like 12:01, 2025.
Please too.
Neil, you said get back to you.
He's a brilliant man. It's funny.
Oh,
He and Alan Moore,
yeah,
they very wisely and wonderfully adopted Todd Klein as their letterer.
they did.
Todd, between you and me, is a far better letterer than I'll ever
Well,
be.
I mean, you told me the last time we talked that when they asked you about 100 bullets, you said to them, "Don't you want Todd Klein?"
I I don't remember saying that, but I think Todd would have been a better choice for where to risk.
Brian doesn't agree.
I'm grateful because I made a lot of money off of that. But Todd is a wonderful
He
letterer.
is. He's a fantastic letterer, and another one. I need to reach out and add him to the stable of
He's hard
letterers
to
that I've
get.
talked
He's
to.
semi-retired and he's talked to everybody.
Exactly.
But if you can get him, he's freaking brilliant.
I mean, I'm amazed at how many comics people are happy to just sit back like you and I are right now. Shoot freaks. How much the fact that I'm a smaller podcast and I'm thank you, Eddie. That's very helpful. For our listeners, they all know Eddie, my cat, because he likes to make appearances on the podcast where he plays with my microphone because apparently that makes it sound better.
Now I'll talk to you because nobody else wants to talk to me. But
But there are plenty of people that lots of people want to talk to that talk to
I'm
me
not one
too.
of them.
I mean, I've had Tom King on 3 times. I have Eddie Campbell.
You know, you ought to get after
Who?
2 people. In my opinion, the 2 greatest comic book artists of the coming years.
Let's hear it.
One of them is Gabriel Walta.
He's been on my list. I'm a fan.
I don't know how good his English is, but he's a good guy and he's a friend. He's freaking brilliant. Who's the other guy? He drew. What's happened to me? He drew. What's happening in my brain? My brain is dribbling away. He's from Croatia. He did.
Oh,
I did forward to his book. Gosh, he's wonderful. Tonsi Zonjic. Tonsi.
Yeah.
Tonzonjic. The two of them are, in my opinion, to the best of my
They're no,
knowledge,
they're both fantastic
are the two
artists.
greatest comic artists of this generation.
I mean, I think that that's a really, really high standard. I've got a lot of comic artists that I like in this generation, but they're definitely on that list.
I'm only aware of the people I work on, so there may be
I get that.
other people, but damn
Whereas
beautiful.
I read way,
Tonsi and
way too many
Gabriel.
comics.
Tonsi and Gabriel, they're both gentlemen. They just draw like angels, chase
Yeah.
after them.
Yeah. I will
I believe
definitely do.
Tonsi has moved to Canada. Gabriel, I
Okay.
believe, is still in Spain.
Well,
Damn,
the advantage of um summer break, the advantage of being a teacher is when summer hits, when various breaks hit, um, it is easier for me to book transatlantic stuff because I'm available during the day.
if
I
you
don't
want
have
me
to
to
ask
reach
them to
out
stay
to
up late.
them, if you want me to reach out to them to get them to talk to you, I will.
I might take you up on that. I always try to do it myself first, but I'll keep that in the back of my head because among other things, I like having I like talking to people from around the world. It's interesting to see, particularly the ones that don't strictly do superhero stuff, what attracts them to do comics in the United States. Sometimes in areas where there are other comic scenes, it's not always a clear money thing in terms of because American comics, yeah, the comics business is weird from a money standpoint. And there are lots of different scenes in the world, and it looks like Tansi Zanjic is a big camera guy too. I'm looking at his office, and there's an entire shelf of SLRs and lenses. He
Really.
would get along with Greg Pak.
In the 80s, the great up and coming artists were out of South America,
Yeah,
particularly out of Argentina.
there are a number of them now too. Actually,
In the 2000s, they all came out of Eastern Europe.
Eastern Europe. Well, part of that is
Eddie
South
Bukevich.
America, I think, has developed enough of its own scene. I mean, part of it is Marvel and DC are always looking for the next cheap artist that's still good.
You're right about that.
And Brazil and Argentina have developed enough of their own scene that they're not as cheap anymore.
Eduardo Rizzo.
Oh, Eduardo Rizzo's.
Um,
Have you seen his new book with Brian?
no, I haven't. I don't know why they don't invite me to letter it, but Eduardo, he built a huge house and he called it the house that 100 bullets built.
Sounds about right. Um,
Casey Sayas, he spent his honeymoon there with his lady.
their new book, the Blood Brothers Mother.
I just did a
Um,
book for Azarello and Eduardo. I'm not sure what it was. It was just like 8-page story. But there's
oh,
it was a Lono thing.
okay.
Of 100 bullets.
But
I didn't know what it was, but when Jill Thompson, Brian's ex, was nominated for the Eisner Hall of Fame thing, I wanted to write her a letter, but I didn't have any. I didn't
you
have
may
any
share the screen.
through.
Eduardo started painting.
That's Eduardo.
Yeah, this is their new book.
Oh, gee whiz! Don't let me say anything, okay?
So yeah, no, they
That was Tonsi. I've never seen him. I've never talked to him.
No, well, yeah, that was Tansi's office. That I pulled up his website. It says Tanchi Zonic. He gives his that's his office. Like I said, look at all those cameras.
Did you did you read the foreword I wrote to his
Which book?
what's his name, the character, the 1930s superhero, Lobster Johnson.
Lobster. I have not. I have not. I am behind on the world of Hellboy.
Find it, okay? I did.
I can do that.
I wrote.
For that matter, I think that right now, Humble Bundle has a massive Hellboy digital thing to support. Um, oh, why can't I remember the name of it? Heroes
She
Initiative.
just draws beautifully,
It
wonderfully.
does. It does.
Please read the forward I did to his book, or
Of
afterward.
course. Yeah,
Afterward,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I gotta find it.
there's the
So
Pirate's
I'm not gonna be able to
Ghost.
read it.
That thing, Pirate's
But
Ghost.
but I enjoy your writing, so I will definitely go find it.
That was good writing. I was
Do you ever
really
think about writing a comic? I mean, you know the ins and outs of storytelling at this point.
30 years ago. I tried.
Okay.
I was working for Apple Comics. I was doing a bunch of things for them, and I pitched something, and they were very gracious about it, and just never went off the ground. Then in 2003, I had a great idea. I was going to do a reprint of a classic comic from the 50s called Carl Drake, Gentleman Sleuth. And I was going to pitch this to, I pitched it to Axel Alonso at DC, and he loved it. I pitched it to Will Dennis, and he loved it. I pitched it to Brian Azzarello, and he loved it. And I pitched it to Karen Berger, the only friend I have at DC anymore. Well, she's not DC, but she
No,
was
she's
then.
a dark horse now.
Yeah, she is. And she didn't get it, so it never went anywhere. It was the story. It was reprints of a detective strip from the 50s that never actually happened. It was
Okay.
this guy who named Carl Drake. He was a playboy gentleman who would fight crime by killing the people he found, and it was just supposed to be so completely weird. He had a boy companion named Tommy, and he was trying to kill every issue. It was so bizarre, but it never happened. It never went off the ground. That was the last time I tried pitching a comic to.
That
Brian
sounds
Ezra
fun.
loved it. Will Dennis loved it.
Well,
Everybody loved it.
Azzarello and Dennis are both over at Distillery now. Just
What
throwing
is
it out there.
distillery? I'm ignorant.
Distillery is a new publisher. It's where the book I just showed you is being done. It's Will Dennis's new publishing venture.
Really?
They do
I haven't talked to
all
Will in a couple of years.
they do all like prestige format size. So magazine, perfect bound, generally 48 or more pages, really high quality.
Speaking
Um,
of Will's turning, do you have an email address for Will?
I do not have an email address for Will at this point.
I've got an old one. Let's see what happens.
He's definitely on my short list of people that
I love Will Dennis.
I have only heard good things.
When Axel Alonso left these Vertigo, it all dropped on poor Will's lap. He'd been an assistant editor forever. He didn't know how to be an editor. He walked into the thing and he did a great job. I love Will. Will and I did not agree about when to use boldface type. But when Axel left, and Azzarello has no opinion about it whatsoever. So Will would take these 100 bullet scripts and put bold words. I didn't agree with him about any of it. I think I have a good sense of the rhythm of human speech. So I just asked him, would you please let me do this? And if you don't like it, I'll change it. And that's what ended up happening for the last 50 issues of 100 Bullets.
Well, there you go. Here, I'm looking for Will Dennis contact info, and it's
I've got it if you don't have it.
other
He's a
than
great,
he is on Instagram, so there's
he's a
that way to get
great
a hold of
guy.
him.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He was Axel's assistant editor. He was a lot of assistant editors at DC and in general.
I
Other
I
people learn how to become great editors.
I have said it many times that like comics as we know it right now owe almost everything to Karen Berger, Shelley Bond, Will Dennis, Axel, the Vertigo, the like early Vertigo editors changed the way the American comic landscape worked.
That's interesting.
Um,
See, Julie Schwartz trained Karen.
I believe it. I'm not saying there weren't great editors before that. I'm certain that there were great editors, but they were
Dick Giordano said, Karen,
right, right.
you're like
But
on my own.
but that's the whole era of superheroes only. You know what Vertigo did was it didn't just wasn't just that they got the books out on time, though they did. It wasn't just that their quality was great, though it was. It was that they were able to look around and find the people that could tell different kinds of stories. Sometimes from among the superhero creators, sometimes from foreign creator, you know, I mean their ability to go out and go, let's do something different and make it work
Talk
was
about
just
Hellblazer.
yeah.
Hellblazer, Sean
Yep.
Phillips.
Hmm.
Marvelous.
Yeah. Sean's a great guy.
Have you met him?
I have met him very, very briefly.
I've never met him.
I've
But
talked
when
to
he was
his
doing
I've talked to
Hellblazer,
his son a couple of times. Cause his son Jacob, I would actually argue, and this is another one of my minority opinions, Jacob, who's in like his mid-20s now, I think is already a better artist than his dad. I think he does everything Sean does, and he colors better.
could be. I remember when Sean had an accident, he broke his leg. For most comic book artists, that would not be a big deal. You sit at your drawing board and you draw.
Right.
For Sean, that was lethal. He stood up to draw.
Okay.
And this is why his stuff looked so damn good. He stood up to draw. He looked at it from a distance. He drew it at the same size, the same height. The viewer would see it.
Yeah. No, and he and Brubaker have become such a ridiculous pair.
Ed Brubaker.
Everything, yeah, everything they put out is required reading. You know, they're the masters of modern comic noir, and they're always pushing themselves to other stuff. So, as soon as they could sit back and rest on their laurels, they'll do something out of left field. You
You want
know,
to talk Bob Haney and Nick Hardy?
sure. Tell me about because I didn't know about him until I was reading about him with you.
I never met him. I saw
Okay.
him once, but I never met him. Uh, in my opinion, I mean, people look at Bob Haney's stuff on Aquaman or Teen Titans or other stuff. He was completely incapable of writing dialogue that resembled the way human beings talk to each other. He couldn't do it.
Right.
What he could do, and this is what you see in his old books, especially like Teen Titans or Aquaman or The Brave and the Bold, he was one of the most incredibly visual writers comics ever had. He could design a action set piece that would thrill you beyond comprehension if he had an artist capable of delivering the goods.
one of the pages that you share in your essay has Robin riding a bicycle, and it uses perfectly. And I'm not an artist, so I don't know how to I don't know the correct term for this, but the speed lines, the blur, what will we call this here? I'll share the
Speed
screen.
lines
So
are fun. Go on.
okay, yeah. I don't think this gets used enough anymore. I know that when used poorly, it looks really dumb. I mean, that's one of the reasons I don't think it's used enough anymore, is that there's so many examples of it done badly that it makes people afraid to do it. But the way these have that after echo of his hair, of the bike, the color bleed, these are really, really brilliantly done. Uh, to give that feeling that you're riding along with Robin at top speed. Um, yeah,
I
it
totally
just,
agree with you.
yeah, really, really struck me when I was flipping
It
through.
was long before you were born, but look at that.
Yeah, yeah.
Did
Well,
you
and it's
did you see the other essay I wrote about this? About
the first one.
man
Yeah,
that
this is the second one. I read them both. Yeah, going up the wall was hilarious.
it was nuts.
Yeah.
I was 9 years old. I thought, what the hell is this? This is amazing. And look at Wonder Girl. Look at her. Go back up. Look at her.
Yeah. Oh, those eyes are perfect.
I'm in love with this bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I read a lot of Love and Rockets in part because I feel like Jaime
Look at this.
Hernandez is,
Look at him. Look at him.
yeah,
What does
is
he
is
make?
capable of
Three thousand
taking,
dollars a year?
right.
Overpaid. You'll flip
And
for
it's another good use of the like subtle lines for motion. You can tell that he's, yeah. Again, it would be so, I mean, we've got a security guard just thumbing towards the door. Um, and you could do this picture without the motion lines, and you could totally overdo the motion lines. But this doesn't. This has the perfect, hey, over here.
the
Um,
editor was Murray Boltinoff, who I got to know later on. Uh, he couldn't write a decent letter column. If you read his letter columns, you thought he didn't like fans.
I
But
think that's half the reason that letter columns don't exist anymore, is it's really hard to write a good letters column.
but I'll tell you what, he loved freelancers. He
That's
loved the people he hired to work for him and let them do whatever they wanted. Look at this.
that's fantastic.
It's the sense of vertigo.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah. Well,
Look at
and
Wonder Girl falling on her butt.
I mean, you're the letterer here, so I got to ask you, what do you think of these balloons?
I'm not the letterer here. This is
No,
Stan.
no, no. I meant you in person, as a human being. You are a letterer and have professional opinions on letters. What do you think of these balloons?
I don't see how it could have possibly been any better. Okay, like
Yeah,
the third panel. Shades of Pluto, my lasso snagged. Well, we're
yeah.
all taught that a pointer from a balloon should appear to emanate from the center of the balloon. At DC and Marvel, you're not supposed to scallop your balloons. They're supposed to be a simple shape. Well, that was a long time ago. Stan Quill lettered this. It worked just fine. It's
No,
totally.
I think it's. I mean, with the girl singing, I think the way the balloon. I don't even know how to. The shape of the balloon helps convey the sing-songiness.
Of course
Um,
it does. It's
the the the
beautiful.
the shapes of Wonder Girl's balloons convey her motion, that
And it
she's
conveys her ass, which
right.
is a huge. Look at that ram. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that ram.
Yeah.
And look at that stupid cop there.
Yeah.
Back then, it was common to the cliche,
Barney Fife.
huh?
Barney Fife.
Pretty much. But
Yeah.
look at him. He's a dumb jackass.
Yeah.
Wait. Go back. Look at him. Tip top. It's like Elmer Fudd. It's ridiculous. Panel four. Panel four. The mayor is tiptoeing.
Right.
The police chief's tiptoeing. Robin's even tiptoeing. It's ridiculous. It's so beautifully done. It's perfect storytelling.
As a Karl Barks fan, I also appreciate the shadows are done right.
Yeah. Took about 30 seconds to do.
Yeah, but it's the type of stuff that gets forgotten
Look at this. Look at
or
Aquaman
done
trying
badly.
to catch this jackass. Look at him.
Yeah.
Up, down, up, down, up, down.
Oh yeah,
It's perfectly done. It's marvelously done. And then we get to the denouement. We get to the end.
I like almost the curled page for the number in the corner too.
So here we get to the end. Oh. Look at the girl jabs.
That doesn't look very pleasant on the motorcycle.
Isn't that wonderful?
It is.
I was 9 years old. I saw this. Now look at this.
Yeah.
Look at these weasels without their masks. And look at these wonderful kids with their masks.
Right. No, I love it.
You want to go to the next one, the one about Aquaman?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'm a Marvel boy and a modern comics guy because I am enough of a writer that I get really frustrated at things that are overwritten. And that was a real problem in comics for a long time.
Well, let's look at this one, which is done just perfectly.
Yeah.
I remember this. I was living in Manhattan at the time. So Aquaman.
And again, people can go to clemrobins.com to listen or look at what we're looking at.
Or just stay with you.
Cardi. Yeah. I love the page layout here. I'm a big fan of odd grids.
That final panel with the way that Aquaman is drawn, that eye is not placed correctly. It should be far to the right.
Yeah.
3 millimeters. And
I also feel like
top secret criminal organization. Why do you put it on your t-shirt?
Because they're hiding in plain sight, Clem. If they're who would expect the top secret criminal organization to have matching t-shirts proclaiming them? Everybody thinks ogre means old guy recreation something.
I'll tell you this. If this page came to me, I never would have allowed the second balloon in panel 4 to cover up half this poor guy.
Half the space. Yeah.
I would have found a way to.
That's a pretty bad decision there.
A terrible decision, but that's one of the ways comics are better now than they used to.
Oh yeah.
We can do stuff to stop artists from making fools of themselves.
Well, and I think writers have become like if you go back to the EC days, and I always forget who did the primary EC, Al Feldstein. Now, Al Feldstein was literally writing the stage direction on the board. that's why the that's why like the action is described and then you see it. It's not good, but they were saving paper or something, right? But when Stan Lee has Daredevil say, "Now I'm using my karate chop," um, couldn't we have just watched him use his karate chop? Did he need to say anything there? Um, and there's a lot. I feel like the best people have been doing it forever, but but it didn't become the norm that writers got out of the way of artists until the late 90s.
At Marvel, I don't know this firsthand. I've worked for Marvel for 18 years, but Chris DeLapis is a good friend of mine, and he's told me what it's like over there. I'll take his word for it. If you letter a book for Marvel, then it goes back to the writer, and he says, and they tell him, okay, now how do you want to do it better? And they do it better. They rewrite the freaking story. It's not how you do this stuff. You treat the letterer like somebody who knows what he's doing, and you give him a script when that script has been figured out.
Right.
It just killed Chris. I don't know.
Well, I mean, what I hear a lot, because that's I mean, almost every letterer I know that works, particularly with the big two, will say, they hate it when they get massive changes after the letter draft because it's not even, because they always offer to pay, so it's not a money thing.
Do they?
Yeah, no, that they'll pay you
Yeah.
again. If you're re-lettering a page, they'll pay you like you're lettering two pages, is what I've heard. But you have a schedule. You've scheduled a page a day for the entire month, and suddenly you have to do a page again that you didn't have worked into your schedule. So it creates late nights or early mornings or
Well, that's
other
good
books
to
falling
hear.
behind or
That's good to hear they offer to pay you again.
yeah, no, it sounds like that they are at least aware that, you are doing work again that's not your fault.
I did a book for Karen this past week, and there were extensive corrections, and she gave me combat pay. But I wasn't aware that that happened at Marvel.
I believe so. I mean, never ever quote me because
Right to
I'm not
Brazilian.
the one signing the contracts. But I've heard for the most part it's not a pay issue, it's a scheduling issue.
I don't think an artist needs to see what it all looks, and the writer looks to see
Right.
what it all looks like so, before he can decide whether he can start paring down dialogue.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
To
I,
fit dialogue into a balloon takes a bunch of time. And the older I get, the more time it takes me to do it.
well, and all of the best
I
writers
do
I
that,
know,
and it works into a beautiful balloon, and they just decide, oh, put five more words in it.
right?
It's irritating as hell.
Yeah, no, most of the best writers I know have become acutely aware of balloon placement and how much space words take and really go out of their way to have the script ready before it goes to their letterers.
That's good to
Um,
hear. Who are these people?
Tom King tries really hard and feels horrible anytime he blows it. Um, Chris Cantwell tries really hard. Sarah Gailey tries really hard. They're and another thing they do is I mean one of the things that I've heard is like as soon as they've got pencils, they're looking at it again because now that they've got pencils, they know what the basic art is. So it's like, okay, can I legit feel like these balloons are going to fit? And then there are other writers like Alex DeCampi does her own lettering because she's like,
Really?
Yeah, I've known a couple of writers that have learned to letter specifically because it forces them to think about the artist's job and how to lay out the page that much better for the balance of words and art.
That's good to hear.
You
Can we
know,
get a little break here?
I was actually going to say you're looking tired and I got to work in the morning, so why don't we call it an evening? But
Want to
it's
do it
been
again sometime
wonderful.
soon?
What?
You want to do it again sometime
I
soon?
will do it again anytime you want to do it again. It's fun. We should like read a book together or something.
Please.
Yeah, pick a book. I'll read it with you.
Anytime you want, Ted.
All right, Clem. It's always, always, always a pleasure.
You rock.
And I will talk to you soon. Have a
Please.
good one. Bye. For 22 panels, this has been Clem Robins. We will see you after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.